Oh, Mr. Soft, won't you tell me why the world in which you're living is so strange? Oh, Mr. Soft. Now, for those of you not from the UK or under the age of 40, that was from a TV ad from the late 1980s to the mid-1990s advertising Trebor soft mints. It featured the rather unusual white character of Mr. Soft, who would bounce along the road as he walked, and all of the items in the street, like the car, the street lamp, and the cat, would all sway back and forth to the music. But it was also the soundtrack to my incessant high school bullying. Let me take you back to 1990. I'm 14 years old, and we're just about to start the Italia 90 World Cup. Think Diego Maradona in his prime, Paul Gascoigne's tears, and Luciano Pavarotti blazing out Nessun Dorma on every radio station. But I'm in the examination room of the Royal Gwent Hospital in Newport, South Wales. I'm just getting dressed after being x-rayed, poked and prodded by a spinal surgeon. And I pull back the curtain and walk out into a communal consultation area. And in the middle of the room, there's a large console, rather like the console in the middle of the Doctor's TARDIS from Doctor Who, but much bigger. And all the way around the console, there are light boxes with x-rays hanging on them. And as I approach the console, I see an x-ray of an upper body, front and back, and the spine was in the shape of a letter S. It looked something like this. Now, my reaction upon seeing that is probably very similar to the reaction some of you just had then. That guy is fucked. But yeah, it was mine. And I had something called scoliosis. Now, all throughout my high school life to this point, I would walk into school in the morning and walk out of school in the evening with other kids walking alongside me going, Mr. Soft, won't you tell me why the world in which you're living is so strange? To let me know that I walked differently to them, which was nice. But the reason being was my spine was twisted. I had scoliosis, and it apparently required urgent surgery. Never mind the fact that I'm in the middle of my GCSE mock exams, or the fact that the World Cup is about to start. I had to go into hospital and have it fixed. So about 2 weeks later, I'm lying in a hospital bed. I've had my back slit open, and I've had a titanium rod bolted to my spine. And it hurt. It hurt, don't get me wrong. But the real physical pain from that experience wasn't my back, it was my ankles. Because if you have to lie flat on your back for 2 weeks and you can't even turn on your side for fear of dislodging something in your spine, the bed sores are the things that really hurt on your ankles. But I got out, I survived, and I eventually went back to school. And I had to wear what can best be described as a plastic bolt-up corset that was molded to my back to keep my spine straight while I was in school. I could take it off in the evening. Now, the real bad thing about this was you would expect those kids, when I went back to school, and they knew that I had a surgical procedure to correct my spine, I was clearly wearing a brace that I couldn't fit my school uniform over, so I had to wear a tracksuit, making me stand out even more than normal. You think they'd look at me and go, do you know what? Maybe we should give him a break. Maybe we shouldn't sing Mr. Soft to him as he walks into school and out of school. Do you think they thought that? Did they fuck? Carried on exactly the same as before. But the worst part of it, you know when you break your arm or you break your leg and you go into hospital, everybody wants to sign it. The worst part was the memory that's lodged in my mind is being sat in my dad's garage on my own with a rag covered in terps, trying to remove the words Mr. Soft written in permanent marker from the back of that corset that I had to wear for another 6 months. But I survived. And if I take you forward to 2014, I'm a grown-ass man. I co-run a digital marketing agency. I still have scoliosis. I still have it now, but it doesn't affect my day-to-day. I'm in work, and I'm designing a website for a client. My phone is sat on the desk in front of me, and it starts to ring. It's on silent. I'm not one of those dickheads that leaves the sound on their phone when it's in the office, obviously. It starts to ring, but it's a number I don't recognize. So I do what anybody who's a bit of a nerd does, and I ignore it. But then it rings again. Same number. I wonder what they want. I wonder who they are. If only there was some way I could find out. Alas, there isn't, so I ignore it and they ring off. But then they ring a third time. Somebody really wants to speak to me. I'm going to answer it. Hello? And it's my ex-wife. I've not heard from her in over 3 years. And the first thing she says to me, do you know anything about Facebook? What a bizarre way to start a conversation. Not hello, not how are you, not anything about any of my 3 children who I also haven't seen for over 3 years. Do you know anything about Facebook? What the bloody hell does she mean by that? Hang on, I'll ask her. What the bloody hell do you mean by that? And then she says those words that make my heart beat a little bit faster. She says, it's Robbie, our eldest son, who's about 12 at this point. It's Robbie. He's being bullied on Facebook. And I'm immediately hit with 3 simultaneous emotions. The first is helplessness, as I go back to how I felt when I was in school and I was being bullied and I couldn't do anything about it. And how Robbie must be feeling right now that he's being bullied on Facebook and he can't do anything about it, except that it's worse for him. I had it on the way into school and on the way out of school. He's got it online, it's 24/7. No. And then I felt anger. Somebody is bullying my son, on the internet. That's where I do my work, that's my thing. I'm not having that. But the third emotion I've never really understood until recently. The third emotion was excitement. What sort of dad feels excitement that their son is being bullied? I felt excitement because I knew I could fix it. I knew I could do something about it. I knew I could be the hero. I could be the dad I didn't have the chance to be for the last few years. I could make this go away. Game on. So what did we know? We knew there was a fake Facebook profile set up in my son's name, and it was sending abusive content to other kids in the class, and it was posting abusive content online. But we didn't even have a link to it. The first step was to find the profile. Okay, we'll go to Facebook, we'll search for my son's name. It didn't show up. The cyberbullies, they're really smart. They've set the profile so it can't be found in a search. I'm out of ideas. We'll try again next time. Thank you very much. No. That's not where it ended. Because let me tell you fact number 1 about cyberbullies. They need an audience. They need to know that what they're posting, other people can see so they can laugh at it. Which meant all I had to do was find the profiles of one of the other kids in the class and look at their friends. We had a list of about 10 names. 5 of them we couldn't find at all. Either they weren't on Facebook or their profiles were set to private. Very sensible. I recommend you do that. 5 of them didn't. And within about 4 or 5 minutes, we'd found the profile, Robert Jamieson. And the profile photo was a character from Alvin and the Chipmunks. I got Mr. Soft. He gets Alvin and the Chipmunks. This ends now. This is not happening to my son. So now I've got 2 options. I can report the profile to Facebook. And Facebook was a lot faster to act back then. They would have shut it down in 7 to 10 days. But that wouldn't have been the end of it. You get a fake profile shut down, it's like cutting off the head of a hydra. Another one's going to crop up in its place, and we're going to be back to square one. Only next time it might be more difficult to find. No, I need to know who created it, and then get it stopped. Did you know when you browse the internet, you leave a lot of telltale signs about who you are? You leave your IP address, which can be used to get an approximate geographic location. You leave behind the device you were using. You leave behind the operating system you were on, the browser you were using, the browser version you were using, and a lot of other things besides. We created a script that took all of this information and stored it into a database when somebody landed on a page. Now, you don't have to be a developer to do this. There's loads of these scripts online. There's websites that will do this for you. But all we had to do was to get this fake profile to land on this page. How are we going to do that? Let me tell you fact number 2 about cyberbullies. They think they are the smartest people in the world. They think they are untouchable. They think they know better than you, which means they're overconfident. They can be caught. And fact number 3 about cyberbullies. What they really like is more information to help bully their victims. So we used one of our own test Facebook profiles and sent this fake profile a message. And you're going to want to write this down because this is genius. The message said, "I love your profile, lol. I love your profile, lol. Here's some photos of Robbie you can use." And the link to our page. Even better, we put a 1 pixel by 1 pixel image of Robbie on that page that you can't see when you visit it. But when the preview shows through in a Facebook message, it pulls through the image as though there's pictures on that page you're going to get. Spoiler alert, there were no photos on that page. 3 minutes later, they logged into that account and replied to me. Thanks, with an X. And they clicked on the link. Got them. We got the IP address they were using. We got the device they were using. It was a mobile phone called an Alcatel. I had never heard of that make phone before, and I've never heard of it since. And I'll be honest with you, that piece of information alone was enough for the school to identify who'd created that account. But we got more than that. We got the version of the phone we were on. They got the browser they were on. We got the mobile cellular network that they were on. And then we took that information and we gave it to Facebook and we gave it to the school. Facebook actually came back to us with a report about who was using the account. They gave us dates and times of when they'd logged in and the email address and phone number they'd used to create the account. I still to this day can't believe Facebook gave us that, but they did. And then they shut the profile down. Whereas the school had the simple matter of going through the kids in the class and seeing who had the Alcatel. There was one child. And they were still logged into the fake Facebook profile at the time. We'd got them. I'd unmasked my son's cyberbully. And the whole process from, do you know anything about Facebook, to ripping their information down into a database was less than 1 hour. Less than 1 hour. And there's a few things I want you to take away from this. For the bullies, and there may be some bullies listening to this right now. Just because someone is different to you, maybe their skin color is different, maybe their accent is different, maybe the way they walk is different, maybe it's something else, doesn't mean you take out your own insecurities, your own frailties on them. Because what you do and say to them can stay with them for the rest of their lives, as it has done for me. And for the cyberbullies, know this. It doesn't matter how smart you think you are, how intelligent you think you are. There is always someone smarter than you. And you are not safe behind your phone screen or your keyboard. Someone can and will trace you. But for the victims of bullying, I need you to understand that you are not at fault. You are not to blame. You are not being bullied for something you have done. You are being bullied because of somebody else's weakness. And you can take that weakness and you can make it your strength. And you can use it as a force for good, as I did when I took my own bullying experience and I used it to fuel my search for my son's cyberbully, unmasking their identity in less than 1 hour. Thank you.